Nikki's still laughing. Okay, I think it looks like we're live, but I want to wait a second just in case we don't have a snafu again. All right, hold. Yes, here we go. But I want to wait a second. Okay, all right, Dina. So we're live for take 2. How are you today?
I'm still excited.
Good. I'm glad you're still excited. We just had a typical Facebook Live snafu that seems to happen, and you self-admittedly are a technological vortex, so this is not a surprise that this just happened.
No, I would expect nothing less.
For real, I should have just planned for that. Anyway, so today is a big day. It is the launch day for your book. Tell me how you're feeling right now.
Excited. A little nervous, mostly excited, and happy to be able to share it finally.
So when did you start working on this book? Why don't you, and we'll get into what your book is about and all that stuff, but when did you even start this process? And what was your kind of reasoning for wanting to put a book like this into the world?
Right, so like much of what I do, it was an accident. So I started about almost 2 years ago with the intention of creating a little marketing brochure to help retailers understand the LGBTQ market space for greeting cards for our greeting card company, Teasel. And I thought, geez, if I could just explain that there's more than just the 9 million people that were LGBTQ identifying that are target market purchasers, but the 87% of Americans that are family members, friends, and coworkers that actually look for products for us. I thought, well, maybe if I create a brochure, then that would help them to understand why our cards and products are valuable. And I took Author Program Live with you, and it was an eye-opening experience. And I emerged with what was a massive manuscript because, you should never ask a nurse to do any kind of research because you come out with these crazy statistics and numbers. And when you don't know information, you have nothing really, you have nothing to share and no responsibility to share what you don't know. And then when you know what you didn't know, then you have a responsibility. And I think that became probably the driving force behind the book was, as a nurse, I knew that there were pieces of identity and pieces of health issues that impacted our lives. I did not understand the depth and breadth of that. Mm-hmm. And the more I processed the information that I received internally and researched and drew diagrams and notes all over my drawing boards in the office and in my kitchen in the sliding glass doors, and my family was subjected to drawings on those with dry markers for months on end, just trying to see the connection to things. And I'm glad that it's finally here because the people that have read it so far have shared that they had no concept either. And so it's already beginning to do what I had hoped it would do, which would start a conversation. And if those conversations can be a catalyst for change and can help other people, then we've been successful.
Yeah, I remember exactly where I was when you and I were on the phone, when you had that aha moment of this isn't just a brochure for your greeting card business, but rather this needs to be something bigger, because I was on my treadmill and I remember us having that conversation and it being like, shit, how are we actually going to do this? And what is that book going to look like? And what research do you need? Because like you were just saying, like you are definitely a researcher based on the voluminous amount of information that you brought to the table for this book. However, with that being said, I think your book is very easy to read and it's very digestible. So why don't you share, what the name of the book is, what the subtitle is, and then just give like the high level synopsis of what the book is about.
So,
Show us the book too. Yes. All right.
so this is the book. It is called Identity Impact: When Society's Expectations Collide with the Authentic Self. And draw our attention to the street sign. This is a real intersection. It is really where I grew up on so many levels. It is the intersection of hollow and hope. And I think it's important to know that you can turn the corner from being hollow inside to being full of hope. And so I want to thank Sherry Stupak for doing that photo for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to make sure that you understand that every bit of this book has been created with a great amount of intention
Mm-hmm.
and mindfulness. So as a nurse, I have experience, whether it's been in hospice, the ER setting, the ICU setting, and as a business owner and LGBTQ business advocate here in Las Vegas, Nevada, for several years now. I think that what I have garnered over those years is a sense of identity and understanding about the psychological and physiological things that happen to people. And although I'm a registered nurse and I use my education from that and my ability to do research to bring the information to the table, it's written so that if you're a clinical person and high level, psychologist, physician, nurse, those kinds of people can read it and understand it. Mm-hmm. And moms and dads can read it. Mm-hmm. And I would venture to say probably even high school and above would be able to read it and truly digest it. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's important information. So, throughout high school and college, we learn basic theories of development in Psych 101. And we learn it, but we never really know what to do with it. And at some point, we need to understand what our role in society is and how our role impacts people's lives. And so I started with really just looking at my own personal roots, how they developed, and how my life has been impacted by the people around me, and then looking at the way that I impact other people's lives. Mm-hmm. and the privilege and the responsibility that comes along with that. Mm. And the nurse in me, always wanting to be a nurturer and to help people to be in a better place, I took it as an opportunity to share some personal use of self in my own journey. It's not a biography, though. It's really just, look, this is how I can see how this impacted my life, to maybe trigger the reader to think, geez, how has this impacted your life? Mm-hmm. And then reader, what are you going to do with the information that you receive?
Mm-hmm. And it's called Identity Impact, but you're talking about a multitude of identities. So can you kind of share a little bit of what you mean by that? Because while right now we're talking about LGBTQ identity, it's bigger than that. So can you kind of share, I don't want someone watching this to think that, oh, this book's not for me because they're talking about a specific community. You're talking about a much bigger and broader thing. So can you kind of speak to that a little?
Absolutely. So, and that's the interesting thing. So yes, it is, it has an LGBTQ impact. And the reality is that each of our identities and each of our pieces of identity are impactful across all measures of diversity in every aspect. So here's the reality. So as a woman, I can tell you in my life right now, where I have been to my journey right now, I have been a daughter, I've been a sister, I've been a mother, I've been a wife, I've been a business owner. I was raised Roman Catholic. I am Sicilian and Irish. I grew up on the East Coast, just outside of a major center city. And I grew up in a suburban area with a lot of people around who came from other different ethnic and cultural backgrounds. Each one of those aspects of my life impact who I am today. Mm-hmm. And when I can bring my full self to what I do for work every single day and in my life every single day, then I have the opportunity to positively impact other people's lives. So the LGBTQ aspect means that I can provide a little bit more insight than the average bear who doesn't have that piece of an identity. But that is not my defining identity. I am all of my parts. I am the sum of all of my parts. Just like you are the sum of all of your parts.
Correct. And so let's talk a little bit about the process of getting this done. And then I want to talk about I'm hoping that anyone watching this can actually see the look in your eye when I said that. And then we'll talk a little bit about your event tonight. So just for someone who might be watching this and they themselves are thinking like, I have a book in me, I have a story, I have a message, I have something to share to the world. What would you tell that person to help inspire them or keep them from saying like, oh, it's too hard. I don't want to do it because it just seems like it's too hard or it's not for me. Like you were able to get through it and you definitely had some bumps in the road and a lot of stuff going on while you were doing this. And I will let you share whatever you want to share. I'm not going to share your business. But just kind of share a little bit of what that is. Because I really feel like if you can, and I feel this way for a lot of our authors, like if you can get this done, then I feel like that should be hope and inspiring for other people to also be able to get it done too.
Right. So I'm not a rocket scientist. I never have been, never will be. I would say that it's been an incredible journey. And I would say it's an absolute journey. And the reason I would say that is because, at least for my experience in writing my book and the information that is in it, there were a lot of steps along the way that I had a significant amount of self-discovery. And going through the process of writing is not difficult. It's really not. It's a matter of sitting down, being focused, and having moments of clarity. And it's about looking towards that finish line and knowing what you want to achieve. And that is true of anything that you want to achieve in life, whether it's a book or any of our personal goals. You know that as a runner. And so in case you didn't see some of the brevity in the book, that was absolutely pulled from you in case you didn't get that. And if you haven't read the book, you have to read it to get it. But for those of you that know Jen, she is an avid runner. So there is some conversation of that in the book. But
I appreciate
think that is my pleasure. I think I personally experienced a lot of growth in the 2 years that this was happening. I would say that some of those growth periods presented information in my own life I was less than happy with. And at the same time, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It just is, right? So I think it was very cathartic. I think I love the person I am today for having been through that process. And I couldn't have done it if I didn't have PDP behind me, pushing me to do that. So,
and what do you think in terms of how your book started? Like, I know that we were talking about how it kind of originally started as you were thinking this is going to be a marketing material. And I
thought this thing was going to be 6 pages.
Yeah. And it's a good sized book. It's 180 pages. It's a good read. Yeah. So when you submitted your first draft to what the final version was, like, did you have any idea how it was going to morph from what it started with to what it became?
Yes and no. I knew what I wanted it to do. When I handed in that first manuscript and you came back and said, oh my God, there are like 4 books in here, pick one. I was a little distressed. Being an OCD, overachieving type personality, my first set of edits that I got back looked like somebody threw up on my paper in red. And in all of my years of education, that had never happened. So, and I did have to come to a spot where I had to check my ego at the door and have a lot of faith and trust in the team that I was working with. And you know, fortunately, we had a lot of conversations so that along the way, you knew what the end goal was collectively as a team, and were able to get there. But that first set of edits where paragraphs were rearranged and taken out of context, I definitely had a moment of, oh my God, now what? How do I put this back together? And it couldn't make more sense the way it's written.
I definitely think it makes a lot of sense. I think it looks beautiful. I would love if you would, I wish I had a copy on me. I would love to see you just kind of open up to a chapter page, because I feel like the layout looks really good. I'm just so pleased with the beauty of your layout. Yeah. It looks so nice. And the tree theme carries throughout, because that is what you're using as an illustration throughout the book, is the idea of all the different component parts of a tree. So let's talk about the future. So what is your plan? Like, if I were to ask you to define success of this book or success of this transition for you, and you're welcome to talk about what you've been doing and what you're leaping to. Again, I'm not going to say anything that I shouldn't, but feel free to take that wherever you want it. But like, if we were to look from a year from now, how are you going to look back on today and say, my book has been a success? Like, what does that look like for you?
So while we have owned Teasel greeting cards since 2011, I have continued to maintain my bedside nursing. One is a way for me to help grow my business, and two, for me to maintain my bedside nursing skills. Having been a nurse for more than 18 years at this point, it has always been my goal to transition away from bedside nursing, and this is the time to be doing that. I think that each of the patients and family members, and truthfully team members that I have worked with over the years in my career have impacted my life. And it's time for me to take that skill that I have learned and take it to a different level. So my goal at this point is to not do bedside nursing. My goal is to transition to an author and a speaker. So you helped me succeed in becoming a published author, and I appreciate that. And so now the next step is to go forward onto speaking.
And what is that going to look like for you? So somebody watching this and they want to say, like, you know, I need to bring Dina into my organization. What topics are you going to be speaking about? What are your plans and what are your goals and aspirations?
So I think that that's one of the really cool things about this book, is that just because I'm a nurse doesn't mean I should only speak to doctors, nurses, hospitals, health insurance companies, and the like. And I will be already working with actually somebody to create some training skill sets and training materials for in-service and ongoing education for physicians and healthcare practitioners, because that is a necessity that's not really out there. So we're already in process for that, and we'll be launching that shortly. In addition to that, I can also and should be speaking to any company that wants their employees to bring all of who they are to the table. And it's not just their LGBTQ employees, but it's all of the people that come in every single day. So if you have no idea how you're impacting your internal customers, you have no idea how you're impacting your external customers. So I think that's an important thing to keep in mind.
Yeah, definitely. And so what, you're talking about being an author and a speaker. And so you already let's just put it this way. You're already a speaker. You and I have known each other for what feels like a very long time at this point due to our mutual adoration for the National Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce. So hopefully NGLCC peeps are watching this. I know we definitely are mutual lovers of NGLCC. So, I feel like you've already been a speaker. I've seen you countless times on a stage. I know your speaking abilities. Like, you got this covered.
Yeah, I don't know if you know this, but I used to speak for the Hospice and Palliative Care Foundation, and I did that all day long in my job as a hospice nurse out in the Las Vegas community. So I was actually able to create a lot of awareness about death and dying and hospice needs back in the late 90s and early 2000s just from my speaking.
Yeah. So you already got the chops. So if anyone's watching this, like, Dina's got the chops, I can attest to it, and many other colleagues of ours can attest to this. So talk to me about your launch. So today the book is launched. It's launching. It's live. There's a link to your book there should be a link to it under this video on Facebook Live. It'll also be on your Facebook page. But you are doing a launch party this evening. So for anyone who is watching this and they're local in the Las Vegas community, please share details.
So I'm so excited. It is at the Asian Community Development Council office on 2610 South Jones Boulevard, Suite 3 in Las Vegas, Nevada from 5:30 to 7 p.m. this evening. We're just going to do a wonderful launch party, get to visit, talk a little bit about the book, probably read a few excerpts from the book, and see where the conversation and the discussion takes us. But I would love to see all of my local friends, family, and anybody who's interested. Certainly come. It is a kid-friendly venue. My children will be there. My family will be there. And, I think it's a wonderful way to begin to start the dialogue, which is my hope, is that we begin to have conversations and cultivate healthful conversations with each other. And our identities start at a much younger age. That identity formation starts at a much younger age than people realize. And so when we begin to have conversations about that, I think that we can begin to mold and shape the future for our future generations, and we can begin to be much kinder and gentler to each other now.
I think that's so well said. And so for those who will not be getting signed copies of your book at the event tonight, how would you advise people to get in touch with you? Obviously they can buy the book on Amazon, but if they want to reach out to you to, start the conversation about maybe hiring you or, doing something together, how would you recommend they do that?
So that's really easy because it's just my name. It's DinaProto.com. is my website. You can connect with me through that website. You can see all of the speaking opportunities and experience that I've got. So check out some other podcasts and things that I've done. You can also connect with me through my personal email, dina@dinaproto.com.
Easy as that.
Easy as that.
I know you have a very busy day ahead of you since you are launching your book, so we will let you get to it. But I thank you so much for coming on here. It's so exciting to me that your book is finally done. I feel like it's been a long time in the making, but I think it looks beautiful and it came out awesome. And I'm so proud of you for getting through it despite all of the challenges that were in the way as you went through the process.
You know what? It has made me a stronger, healthier, better person, and I'm so excited.
I would agree.
Thank you for the opportunity.
You are very welcome. And I'm sure we will do another Facebook Live in the future to do a follow-up on your successes today. So with that being said, goodbye, everyone, and I will let you get back to your day.
Thank you. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.